Hello everyone, today is August the 2nd, 2026, and today I'm going to talk about a very specific and sensitive topic, domestic violence. For people who rely on tabloids to get their information, they read about this from time to time, and they read from various proponents that domestic violence is typically a male phenomenon. They want to send the message that men only are the perpetrators of domestic violence. Strangely enough, this is typically women's organizations, is a women's only organizations who is trying to send this message. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but typically they have no academic knowledge about this. So in Sweden, we have ROX and we have Unison, and they are women-only organizations who send a very strange message. And I don't know, they are jurists, they study political studies and stuff like that, but not domestic violence, and I don't think they have the proper methodological understanding. Now, yesterday, something came in my Facebook feed. I have to hide the mic, I think. So it was about Mikael. So I was very surprised about this because media almost never bring this up. He was stuck in a toxic relationship, and despite the fact that he left the relationship, the domestic psychological violence continued. And I don't know, I haven't read it, so it could actually, in 1% of the cases, this could be a man, homosexual relationship, but in 99% of the cases, it's a heterosexual relationship, and psychological domestic violence or relational aggressiveness is women only. So as you know, I'm a research psychologist dealing with the executive functions and stuff like that. And 25 years ago, I supervised a bachelor thesis in law. And this is the final examination. And I told this story before, so long story short, this guy, he basically made a survey about the research on domestic violence, and he did a really, really good job. So I refer to that stuff when I talk, among other references, when I talk about stuff. So at the same time, for the past week, in my TikTok feed, women have showed up, divorced women, and remember, divorces are typically initiated by women. And why they do it? Well, I believe they're brainwashed by Marxist feminism, because Marxist feminism claimed that family, men, and money is a bad thing. Now, family replaced hunting and gathering, and people who stick together in a family, these kids, their kids, have a better life, typically. The family has better economy and stuff like that. And there is easily, it's an effect on males. Males typically make more money. Not me though, I'm a research psychologist, but think of it like men who work in technology, STEM stuff. I do STEM, but it's more like social science, which is dominated by women. So I'm an exception, actually. Anyway, these divorced women typically complain about their economy. And why is that? Well, they're going to suffer for the rest of their life unless they put down the conflict. And that's a hard thing, because everyone knows that the hardest thing a woman can't do is admit they're wrong. They're just too good looking, and we don't want to upset them, So I wrote a piece on poor Mikael, and I reiterated the facts about all of this, that the typical perpetrator of physical domestic violence is a woman. Yes, also injuries where you have to go to the hospital. Lethal domestic violence will equally unlikely affect children, men, or women, but in filicide, the typical perpetrator is a mother. Psychological domestic violence, typically female, and that includes custodial conflicts, women only. Parental alienation, I think it's women only, but I have colleagues who claim that the distribution is a bit different, so I respect that. But I noticed that we disagree. In Finland, where I reside, because of my expertise, and I don't have any research money, what a paradox. Women's relational aggressiveness is the big issue. So remember, it's domestic, psychological domestic violence. At the same time, according to the Helsingfors Police Department, at the same time, 40% of the Finnish school kids are victims of psychological domestic violence. Nobody wants to say it. So I met a guard on the last of July, and we came to talk about this. And he says, yeah. Finnish women's aggression, it's unbelievable. That's where they have all the issues that bringing negativity. And of course, no one likes me when I communicate this research, but it's just part of my job. So if you get angry when you hear this, you're probably wrong, and you probably have mental health issues. It's true. Feel free to comment, and if you want to lecture about this, if you're a bunch of women who gather in anger, it's going to cost you a fortune. And if you want to be enlightened, buy my lecture. You're going to be upset, but if you internalize that knowledge, your life will improve. It's absolutely clear. Okay, see you next time.